All right, it's Joe at 2J again, and we're actually going to go over, this is Sean's motor on his 0203 really nicely prepped Spec V. But we're going to kind of walk through sort of the maintenance things to check when you've got a 2J turbo kit. And it's really just to make sure everything is operating like it should be. You don't have any issues, especially after you get the kit that's installed for a week or so. So we'll just kind of cover that here. The main thing obviously is making sure that you check all the bolts that go around the downpipe itself. Of course, it's kind of hard to see, but all the nuts and the fittings and everything that are on the manifold itself, make sure that's good. And then of course all the way down at the bottom of the downpipe, you can't really see it, but you've got two bolts down there that hold the downpipe against the mid pipe. Always make sure those are tight. I would check them at least 2 or 3 times every week for the first month, just to make sure they're good. Then maybe whenever you do your oil change, just consider that standard maintenance. Of course, your oil feed fitting, make sure that always is tight. And of course, your water lines that come into the turbo, always check those, see if they come loose. The catch can, which is always typically in the back, the bottom of the catch can unscrews and you want to drain it. At least check that from when you first get the kit in every week. Make sure that that stays drained. A lot of times it's just condensation and looks kind of like dirty water or whatever. Just make sure you go through that and that stays clean. Here with the reservoir for the integrated cooling system for the air-to-water intercooler. It's a closed system. It does not use the water from the radiator. It has its own system that circulates through the intercooler and then down to the heat exchanger down there behind the fan. I would say probably whenever you change your oil, just check this. In the warmer months, you really don't need coolant that's inside there. You can run straight water. And then what I like to add, which I'll show you guys over here, is you can add like half a bottle of MoCool. That's really good stuff. And it got good additives in there as well. In the wintertime, you probably want to put some coolant in there, maybe like a 50-50 mix to prevent the water from freezing inside the turbo kit. Now, from time to time, if you end up getting a lot of blow-by, the catch can's filled up, you'll see a lot of oil accumulate in the filter itself. It'll be pulled through the turbo into the intercooler, so you'll have oil kind of pocketing in here. It just means that because of your PCV system that you need to drain the catch can and be more frequent about that, so that way you're not pulling the oil and it's not like puddling up inside there. Blow-off valve, everything should be set. But again, of course, you'd always want to check it. Maybe when you change your oil, make sure when the car's idling, the piston stays closed. If it starts to open when it's idling, or you give it a little bit of throttle and you see it pop open, you can actually tighten the spring on the blow-off valve, which that way this will should remain closed and only open whenever you release the throttle under boost. And obviously, check your plugs, check your coil packs. A lot of times, because of the pressure in the motor, the seals around the spark plugs will start to leak, and then you'll have like a misfire issue and you pull the coil pack out and it's all filled with oil. So you'll want to make sure that you kind of go through that and always use a factory valve cover if those seals are leaking. Then for the uprev people, if you have done an uprev conversion and you're using our kit, you're always going to see 2 of these wires that remain open, right? So here, and there's another one on the back side. I really don't want to pull it around, but you'll always have 2 wires that, here it is, I'm sorry, that remain open. And the reason for that is because these connections tell the ECU if your harness is a NATS harness, and of course if the ECU is a NATS ECU, and it's connected based on those configurations. And by doing so, 2 will always remain open. So you'll kind of leave those aside, and you're welcome to close them off if you want to. And then the remaining 4 connections, the remaining 3 connections will stay connected at that point. But that's what the 2J uprev conversion looks like on an 0203 with the patch harness. There's the vacuum blocks that we like to use, the blocks, and of course that's the solenoid for the boost controller. All right, so we're going to go inside, and I'll show this to everybody too. Once you get up rev, you can actually do boost dependent, map dependent boost control, and that way, whenever you change maps in the ECU, you can do the corresponding map change on your boost controller, so that way everything stays in sync basically at that point. So Sean's car, we've got the AFR, got the boost gauge, and of course we got the oil pressure, which are always almost like mandatory, I would think, when you're doing a turbo kit, just to obviously maintain those. All right, so back here, so the way that we use the Go Fast Bits boost controller, and it's pretty simple. I've already set everything, but we've got it right now. That's map 3, map 4, map 5, map 6, scramble map, and then map 1. Each map has different boost settings, and it ramps up the turbo slightly differently on each one as well too. So the way that we've set up Sean's car, and we would do this on your car too if you had up rev and then a boost controller. So like I said, we'll go to map 1. Always make sure we're on map 1, and then you hold the cancel button, tap the brake, and then release, and then you see the set light flash once. So now the ECU and the boost controller are in sync. So cancel, tap, tap, release, map 2, and then you'll switch to map 2 here, and then boom. Now you've got whatever this is, 14 PSI, ECU knows you're on 14 PSI, and then you go rip the car. And then 1, 2, 3, that'll be map 3, and then again, just change it to map 3. And then you're set at that point. So we're gonna go drive the car. So we're gonna put it back in map 1, put the ECU in map 1, and then we're good to go. So thanks everybody, appreciate you watching.